So today we're going to be installing this short shifter on our Yaris GR. Now, like all of our products, there will be instructions in the box, but if you need more of a visual aid, this video is going to be perfect for you. Now, right now, our Yaris has a completely stock interior, so this is going to be an exact start to finish of how to install our shifter. Now, a plastic trim removal tool will be handy, but honestly, you can do most of this by hand. So the first thing is to remove the little piece here. And then you can unscrew the gear knob, but remember to take out the spring and the retaining clip. Now, I found it best to remove this piece here, which is the surround around the shifter. You can easily just remove this by hand. There's a few clips holding it in, so just take your time, move your way around and release it. And then you can access the USB connector, and just for now, just pull that out of the way. Now, to go any further, you will have to lift up part of the dash. So if you open the glove box, you can just release the clips holding the dash, and this will allow you to remove this side piece here. And then you can lift up the shifter surround, release the connectors and just put that to the side. Now, you ideally want to remove this piece of the center console, as it will give you much more access to the rest of it, so you can lift it up from the back and just pull it over the handbrake gaiter. Now, I would definitely fully remove the center console. It's going to give you a lot more room to do the fiddly bits, and there's a bunch of bolts. I think there's 5 or 6 holding this in. So now I need to start removing the actual cables from the shifter. Now, this first one on the outside is a good place to start. There's an R-clip holding this in. With a pair of pliers, remove that and just let that drop to the side. Now, you have these plastic nuts which actually hold the cables to the housing. So if you spin these clockwise, it's going to release the nut and allow the cable to slip out the housing. Now, to remove the other cable from the shifter is quite tricky. You have to push these clips outwards. So the best way to do that is get some needle nose pliers, get in there and try and spread them apart. And you've got to spread them apart. It should pop off like that. And once the shifter cables are out of the way, you can remove the 4 10mm bolts holding the whole housing in, and you can pull it all out the car, ready to go on your workbench for the next step. Now, we do need to transfer over this plastic ball joint for the original shifter onto the new one. Now, there isn't really a pretty way of doing this, so just get a hammer and a screwdriver and just prepare for it to pop across the workshop. Now, to transfer that over to the new shifter, it's always good to put a little bit of grease, and you can just knock it on with a hammer. Now, we are going to have to remove the gear gaiter for obvious reasons, because the original shifter has been removed. Now, we do have to separate these 3 pieces of plastic, and the gear gaiter is the one in the middle. Now, these clips are quite tight, so I would definitely recommend using a screwdriver. And once you've removed the center layer, which is the gear gaiter, you can put the top layer and the bottom layer back together. Now, the shifter is much easier to install in 2 separate sections, so remove the 4 bolts which hold the top part to the bottom part, and then you'll have to remove the ball joint as well. Now, there is a retaining clip on here, so make sure to pull that out and the ball joint will pop off quite easily. And now you can install the lower part of the shifter using the 4 bolt provided in the kit. Just make sure that you route the cables through the shifter before bolting the shifter down. And then you can install the top half of the shifter using the 4 bolts which you removed prior, finishing off with reinstalling the ball joint. Now it's time to reinstall the shifter cables, so you can reinstall them back into the cradle using that plastic nut. Don't forget that you will need to reuse that R-clip for this shifter here. And the other shifter that you had to use the pliers on will simply just pop onto the ball joint.
The few things you want to make sure before you tighten everything back together is you want this shifter working properly. So the first thing is that this over here should have 0 preload, meaning if it's too high or too low, it's not going to be equal on either side. So basically, you want where this rod's sitting, you want it to just pop straight on like that. If it pops straight on, you're fine. If it needs to come up or down, you can adjust that through these lock nuts here. But ours go straight on, so that's what that's going to mean. It's going to be the same that way to first and second, and the same till 5th and 6th. Now, these grub screws here control where you're going to be going into gears. So as you can see, the grub screw on the right is going to stop it at an angle. Now, you want to make sure you can go in all gears. So first of all, we're going to go all the way to the right. And if we go forward, we should slip into 5th. Okay, nice. I'll come back to neutral. Now let's try 6. So we're going to go over there, and it flips into 6. So that would mean that this grub screw is set up correctly. So let's do that the other way. We're going to go into 1st. We're going to go all the way over. We've got 1st. So let's come back into neutral. All the way over. Now we can't go into 2nd. So we're a little bit too far on that grub screw into 2nd, because if we're going straight to 2nd, we're going to struggle. So we want it to be as smooth as possible. So we're going to adjust this grub screw here so that we can easily get into, we can go into 1st, but we're a little bit off on 2nd. Now you'll have Allen keys in the set, so we want to loosen this grub screw off the top. Now we're going a little bit too far over, so we're going to wind in this screw until we can easily select second gear. First, second, neutral, second. So until you've got all gears, so now that's good. So we're going to tighten this top grub screw.
And now you've ensured that you can engage all gears nicely, it's time to put on all the plastics in the same process you remove them. And in the end, you're going to have a shifter which looks something like this. Now here's a video of the throw before. And here's a video of the throw with our AIRTEC short shifter.